Here is this.
Dual wielding.
Okay.
Okay. Do you guys prefer a mic or do you guys prefer this? No one ever has a mic. Okay. So yeah, let's get started. Just a bit like I'll mind a minute first. Hello. Yeah, so today we're going to be going over web hacking 2. I'm not sure if you guys went to the first one, but you don't really have to go too much from the first meeting to start on this one as well. My name is Louis. I'll be going through this.
It might be the other direction.
Okay.
Yeah,
So there are some announcements that we have, really big things going on. We have a fall CPF in a week actually on Sunday, and it's a really fun competition that's run by both SIGPwny and a woman in cybersecurity. It's only 6 hours. You get free pizza, free shirts. I think if you sign up and you go in early enough, you get a free badge, I believe.
Definitely free pizza. Definitely free shirts. Please come. It's fun.
Yeah. So visit this link to register and do more information as well. I went the first year. It was really fun. Got a prize and stayed with SIGPwny. So definitely a good way to play around and learn from friends. So this is a meeting flag today. If you guys aren't familiar, we always have a meeting flag. So if you go on ccf.sigpwny.com, you can put this in, kind of like attendance. That's for fun. This is a very famous XK CDE of SQL injection. Basically, you'll understand it later. But if you have a case with a name like this and they don't program your system well enough, your son might delete the school database. So give it a moment. And we'll have this meeting flag at the end as well. So if you guys don't come in on time like that, you guys know what they're doing. Say it. All right. Okay, I'm gonna get started. So today we're going to be talking about kind of 2 broad techniques for web hacking. These are kind of some of the basics and very commonly seen a lot. Obviously, it's getting better, but it's never going to go away. So SQL injection, what it is kind of within a SQL statement on the server side. If it takes an input that is malicious and not kind of clean or validated, you could have unlimited access to some other server's database, which is not a good thing for us to believe. XSS is cross-site scripting. Imagine JavaScript running on your browser, but you can make someone else run whatever JavaScript that you want them to run. So this is still a pretty big thing, and like even the biggest websites. And we're getting into FA2024. It's like a pretty common one to find. So yeah. Let's get started with SQL injection. What, as I mentioned, SQL injection is it's having malicious user input. So that's going to be us changing the server-side SQL statement. So what that means, I can get into that later. But let's have a quick overview of what SQL is. So SQL, imagine structured query language. The name doesn't really matter. What it is, it's kind of like a language or programming language-esque thing to retrieve data from like a database or modify the database. So if you imagine you have a database of customers, whatever database software that you're using, they all kind of work off of SQL. You can do this query, select first name, age from customers, or country is USA. It'll filter out, okay, which of these guys are from USA and return their first name and their age only. So as you can see, already it's a pretty flexible language. You can filter, you can choose which columns you want. There are a lot more operations that you can do. Insertion. So inserting objects, inserting rows into the database is pretty easy as well. 3 different modes. You can insert values straight into the user database, and once you run it, it'll go in. This is something that you might do in your, typical web application. If you create a user account, you can select a user account to see, okay, who exists, whether your login is correct, stuff like that. So how, as I mentioned, how this is usually used is, let's say login. you want to send the password and the username from kind of your browser, right? You can't store your username and password on your website itself. Someone else could like inspect element and just see it and log in as you. So the server then is going to have a database that stores maybe like a list of users and maybe the passwords, which is something we're going to get into. And once the server retrieves, you know, I can say select this user with this username. Let's see if the password is correct. The database is going to respond with that. Then the server is going to tell you on kind of your website or your Chrome, for example, in this case, whether you logged in or not. So this is kind of what the query would be. You try to. So this is kind of like a analysis of what the SQL query itself is. Select, as we mentioned, select strings from the database. Star means all. It's a universal CS thing where if you have a star, it means everything. The table name, which is users, can be whatever you actually created the table for. Where is going to give you like a filtering, right? So if you want to filter by the username, we can see username equals Bobby, so we only want Bobby. And then we filter a password, which in this case is tables. These are multiple column queries, but you can also have like an or, right? And it'll find all the columns where the username is Bobby or the password is tables. So this is very complicated if you don't really write Python, but imagine this is what's running on the server. It takes in, a query like HTTP URL, and you send in the username and password on the server side. But in this case, what we're doing is we're going to create a query based off of whatever the user sends, right? So if the user sends in Bobby, then we'll put in Bobby here. If they send in tables for password, it'll be like that. Then we run the query on the database, check if there are matches. If there are no matches, obviously you fail to log in because your password is wrong or your username doesn't exist. Otherwise, you're like, okay, great, we found this username. The real question is, can you guys spot an issue with this? Right, so this looks like a very typical thing that you would write, and like, you wouldn't imagine that there would be any issues. But actually, if you think about it, this is just plain string. This is just a plain string, right? So actually, we have the ability to inject whatever we want to modify this query. So this is what the original kind of like substitution string that looks like. So in this case, if we get a username Bobby, this curly brace username curly brace will be Bobby. But what if we put in admin with a quotation mark and 2 hyphens? So what these 2 hyphens are is it's a comment in SQL, right? So in like C++ or Java, you might have double slashes. In Python, you have a hashtag. This in this case is actual query comment. So as I mentioned, and now if you substitute this username in, this is what you'll get actually. And if you kind of look at it, glance at it, you're going to realize that by inserting this closing quotation mark, you're actually finishing this string. And after that, you're going to have a comment for the rest of the line. So this actually just becomes nothing, right? Imagine if you compile code that like where this is like a comment afterwards, this is gonna be like ignored by the query engine. So what your actual query becomes is selecting every user where the username is admin. Obviously, your admin users probably exists, and you don't actually have to check for a password. So you're good. You actually wrote it. You managed to make it ignore the password constraint. So you don't even have to have a good password. You can just have like a arbitrary password, and you can still log in as an admin. So, as mentioned, you don't need a password. And the real reason here is because we have the ability to put in whatever we want and have like the SQL, the database, I guess, parse it as however the user meant it to be. So you never want the user to have the ability to change the SQL query. You only want it to have the ability to provide data. And there are some really more advanced techniques, because obviously most people know that that's a problem. The basic one might be, we can just change do what we did, add a comment at the end, bypass the text. Or there are some other techniques like SQL has unions. What it does is basically you can combine the result of kind of 2 queries and output it as one. So let's say you're trying to query from 2 different databases with similar column names. you just need to change them, you can merge them, stuff like that. But in this case, you can use unions to create more advanced SQL injection bypassing. And there are some challenges later that you guys can go off of. There's a lot of resources online as well, so you guys can give it a shot. And there's also this thing called blind SQL query, right? Just because the server runs a SQL query doesn't mean we can actually see what happens. It might just give you a yes or a no. How do you know if it actually worked, right? So sometimes, there are different ways to bypass these things. You could time it. You could, maybe there are some other queries that you can use to leak the letters, leak the string letter by letter. And that might be a password or like a username or something like that. So it depends on what you're trying to do. So, as I mentioned, a website should never use the user information or build a SQL query. So you always want to use, there's all sorts of different syntaxes. But in SQL, you have kind of like what they call query interpolation. So you can put in the data as is, but pass it into the SQL query itself or the SQL database itself. So in this case, even if you have quotation marks in there, the database knows that it's actually not a quotation mark that's meant to be taken as a query. It's like, it knows it's malicious, right? So it's going to escape those quotation marks and make sure it doesn't impact the actual query itself. Lots of tools, whether you're SIGPwny or not, lots of tools online that you could use to kind of bypass SQL defenses. I recommend for at least the challenges that you guys do today, don't use any of these tools. Use what you learn and what you search up online, maybe different resources on how to do things. Because, at the end of the day, automated tools are made by people who have experience, right? So only use them if you're actually trying to get something done. And Portsuiter actually has a few SQL injection practices if you ever want to do. I recommend do ours first. They won't bring it in front of you too. These websites, you have access to their slides as well. These websites have a lot of resources on different attacks that you can do. I didn't cover all of them, obviously. There are some new ones that I don't even know about, so these are good places to look for them. So, quick break. We're now going to be working on kind of like the client side of things. So, what I mentioned, XSS, X is cross. I know it's not C, but it's a cross. And cross-site scripting. So what this kind of means is we can embed JavaScript or make someone else execute your own code on their website. So imagine if you're, let's say you want to steal someone else's money from a bank, okay? And you send them a link that has JavaScript in them. And the JavaScript can actually steal whatever their bank information is and send it back to you. That's obviously not a good thing, right? So that's what that's a good thing for us, and we're not trying to do that. So, quick JavaScript recap. I know we went over this for Webpacking 1 a bit, but basically, it's a programming language that's incredibly widely used because it's everywhere on the web. It's basically running code on a website, right? So, usually encapsulated in a script tag, and you have just JavaScript code, whatever you do. If you click on this cat, for example, on this website, it's going to pop up and say meow. JavaScript is incredibly powerful. You can store stuff on a client. Let's say you log in to University of Illinois Banner, right? You don't want to have to log in and go through that zero thing every time you log in. So you have cookies and stuff like that to store that. So JavaScript obviously is an incredibly powerful language. It has ability to access whatever is on your browser. So there are some defenses that web browser creators and kind of standards committee people have created. There's this thing really important called same origin policy. That means your JavaScript that's running on your website can usually only read what's on what domain you're on. So let's say Google can only read stuff from Google. Like a University of Illinois website can't just read your cookies from your bank account. It's not very different. So this is kind of an example. So the hacker could think about this and go, okay, so we give up, we can't read information from someone else's website. What can we do? But we can actually find vulnerabilities in that website that can trick it into running your code on their computers. So in that way, you can actually take data from someone else's browser without needing to be in the same domain. So again, this is just
code, you guys don't have to understand it, but the basic thing is it's gonna take whatever you send it and just print it back. So if you send a link to this website, example.com, view message equals hello, someone else going to the website will see hello on the page. So this is a template, but what it does is it's gonna replace this thing over here with hello. And if you think about it, you can send someone like this link with something else over here, and it's gonna print it right there. And maybe that's something you can do and have a malicious attack. So this is kind of like the process of what happens if you get a link like this and it's gonna fill with hello, you're gonna get hello. If you have a bolded, bold, it's gonna inject it like this on HTML. So far, so good. You're not gonna see anything crazy. It's just gonna be bolded character. But what if you put in JavaScript here, script alert hello, and you finish it with the ending script tag? You actually see that when someone goes onto this website, they're gonna see a hello alert. And if you think about it, that's not a very good thing, right? You're running some code on someone else's computer without them knowing. And so how can we actually use this, right? Popping up hello or meow is not very helpful to us, right? So we usually want to steal someone else's information, for practice and legal purposes, right? So there are different ways of kind of doing XSS. You might be most familiar with just script tag and whatever code is inside, but nowadays people filter for that. So there are a bunch of other tricks that you could use, like actually, image tag in HTML, when it loads, there's a tag that lets you run code when the image loads. So what if we just had an image of, an innocent GitHub, it's the AutoCAD, I think? Yeah, so it's the icon of the GitHub logo, but then you actually run code behind the scenes. So if someone just filters for a script, they actually won't catch this, right? Because there's no script in this. There are a lot of different techniques. SVGs, also a type of vector image, can execute code. Hacktricks.xyz has a bunch of them. So they have like all the payloads that you can probably see. Any researcher that comes up with a new one for a different website usually gets posted on here too. So it's a very good place to look for them. And I'm sure it'll be helpful for you for the challenges as well. So after you get XSS, as I mentioned, alerting is not very helpful. So what do we want to do? We can steal cookies. We can have a keylogger to like steal passwords. We can actually read what's on the page. So, let's say a bank account, again, website has XSS, and you want to, for some reason, know how much your grandma has. Then you'll send them a link, and XSS might execute code on that. Obviously, this is hypothetical. You don't want to do that. That's illegal. Ethical things, right? Or you can execute stuff as the user, right? If you have JavaScript access, you can pretend to be the user on a website, click on random buttons. If you're malicious, you might do more crazy things like the things above, but doing access as a user is a pretty benign one, I'd say. But yeah, you can also send requests. So if you have JavaScript that does calls that get requests to another website with the information on the website, that's how you can steal their information. So this is something that you could read about as well. That's pretty common in the CPF challenges. I don't think our challenges have that part, but if you do fall CPF, 100% there's going to be an XSS challenge where you have to steal information from someone else. So good to know. So why is it so valuable, right? If you have XSS, for example, on this example is for example.com as well, we can steal their cookies, right? Because it does fetch. Fetch is kind of like it's going to call it's a GET request to whatever domain that you have. So if we have control over this attacker.com, we can actually take the user's document.cookie, which is all their cookies, and post it to our website, which we have control over. So obviously we're going to know what they have. Now we can use that to log into their account. And there you go. We have access to their account. It's even worse if it's like a bigger website, right? Let's say Google Docs had an XSS. If you could steal everyone's cookies, you could log in as a Google account with no issue because you have that token, right? It's not even like you're stealing their password, you're stealing their kind of identity in that sense. So yeah, that was all. We have a few challenges on, I believe there are a few more if you guys want to attempt. There are 2 SQL injection challenges, and there are 3 XSS challenges. They're not all easy. Obviously, the difficulty gets harder as we go. So feel free to ask questions. We have a lot of people here to help. And finally, last things, we have OSINT meeting, I believe. Yeah, OSINT on this Thursday. So feel free to, show up. I think we'd love for you to show up. This is usually really cool because people think of OSINT as, maybe not much of hacking, but if you know how to do this well, it's pretty cool. And it's all open source, so you're gonna work off of like Google or social media accounts or even Spotify, stuff like that. I think it's pretty cool to experience, I guess. And again, on Sunday, we have Fall CPF, really big event. Please show up. We have a lot of pizza. We have a lot of shirts. It's a lot of fun. Lots of challenges for you guys to tackle, and bring your friends. Try to get the prizes. I don't know what the prizes are exactly, but they're pretty cool. So yeah, and we have a few sponsors for the event as well, I believe. So good for career. And yeah, if you guys want, I don't know if the meeting recording gets posted in like a week or so, but if you guys want the slides, I believe they're also available on this link. So yeah. Thank you so much. Oh yeah, and the meeting flag is there as well, so if you guys want.
Go solve challenges. Oh, it's charging.
That makes more sense.
I was like, why